Well, hello, America. You know, the story of Mitt Romney's life really is a story of the American dream in many ways, and having it all kind of go off the tracks there at the end. Romney is a smart guy. He worked hard. He built up a business. He became a millionaire. He married his college sweetheart. They had a family. They stayed together. They worshiped the God of their understanding every single Sunday. He's a decent human being. He decided to give something back, to become a public servant. After success in that, he decided to serve his country in even a bigger way by running for president of the United States. That's where it got ugly. That's where that dream became a little more like a nightmare, facing religious discrimination and destructive party politics. The man I believe was best qualified to turn this country around has dropped out of the race today.
If this were only about me, I'd go on. But it's never been only about me. I entered this race because I love America. And because I love America, in this time of war, I feel I have to now stand aside for our party and for our country.
This guy looks like the winner tonight. Here's the point. It is a sad day, not just for the Romneys and supporters like me, but I believe for America as a whole. And here's how I got there. Americans are feeling disenfranchised like never before. Everywhere I look, families are falling apart. The economy is on the ropes. People are losing their houses. The extremist element that attacked us on 9/11 isn't weaker but stronger today. They're using their children. Wait until I show you this story in about 20 minutes. My top two candidates are now out of the race, and those two that are left are, well, less than impressive, at least for me. The thought of President Clinton or President Obama is absolutely unthinkable. Mike Huckabee doesn't stand a chance in the general election. He seems to be running for vice president anyway. Me and my conservative friends have always felt that John McCain is a Republican in name only, and even the New York Times agrees with us. So tonight, here's what you need to know, America. Considering the options, come November, I'm going to have a really tough time making a choice other than none of the above. Senator Orrin Hatch is a Republican from Utah. Senator, an honest, decent man, a God-fearing man, somebody who seems to have all the values and the tools that we need to be able to get this country back on track. What happened? How did this guy not get the nomination?
Well, I have to admit, had Mike Huckabee not been in the race, and you have to compliment him, he's run a very good race, but had he not been in the race, Mitt Romney would have won a number of these states last week.
How much do you believe religious discrimination played a role, not in a real sort of way, because you're a Mormon, and Harry Reid is a Mormon, and you're on opposite ends of the aisle. Everybody knows that it doesn't matter. But the media made this into an issue when it's not an issue. How much did that play a role?
Well, when I ran for president back in 1999, I know I got in too late and couldn't make it, but I wanted to get across how important the judges were, and I did. But I found a lot of religious discrimination back then, and there was a considerable amount in this race. But you know, one of the good things about this race by Mitt Romney is he was able to get around that. He was able to get people to wake up and realize that we should not be judging people wrongly on their denominational beliefs.
Yeah.
What we should be doing is judging them on their values, how they live them, what they do. And, you know, Romney shares the values of virtually all the good people in any denomination. And I think one of the good things about this race, and one of the greatest things about Mitt Romney, is I think he was able to cut through that maze and get people to realize, hey, let's quit judging people because we don't believe exactly the same way they do denominationally. Let's judge them on how they live their lives, what they do. And you can't find anything wrong with Mitt Romney's life, or his wife's, or his five boys.
Senator, you and I have spoken about the economy in the past. I mean, the economy is in real trouble, and Mitt Romney is the guy who has that kind of that Lee Iacocca, I can put the hood up on this thing and fix this economy. Is there anybody left in the race that you think has a real handle on this economy and what to do in the future?
Well, Mitt is still in the race because he just suspended his campaign. That doesn't mean that he gave up his almost 300 delegates. So he'll still have an influence on this race no matter what happens. But let me just say this. The reason I am so strongly, or was so strongly for Mitt Romney, still am as a matter of fact, is that Mitt is a financial genius. If we don't get control of Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, energy, and interest against the national debt, there won't be enough money to fight the wars or to take care of our military.
Senator, I have been saying this for weeks. People say, I voted for John McCain because John McCain, he's going to fight the war. And I keep saying, you don't understand how much jeopardy, how much trouble our economy really is over the next few years. You don't have enough money to fight a 20-year war. Look what happened to the Soviet Union.
Well, I can confirm that we are in financial difficulty, and Romney was the only one running that I could see who could have resolved these difficulties. You know, when he came out to Utah and turned the Olympics around, we were $400 million in debt. We couldn't get sponsors. It looked like it was going to be a fiasco because of the alleged mismanagement and so forth. He turned that all around. We had the best Winter Olympics in the history of the movement, and of course wound up with about a $100 million surplus. When he took over Massachusetts, they were $3 billion in the hole, going down. And within a year and a half, turned it around to a $2 billion surplus. With a state legislature, 85% opposed everything he was doing. Can you imagine what he could do if he had the chance in prison? Now, he said he's not going to do it, and I think he gave up on the right reasons, and that is that it would be very unlikely that he could win after Super Tuesday.
Senator, I don't mean to ask a senior statesman like you to, I don't want to pull you into a quagmire, so I apologize for this question. You feel free to not to answer, but I'm concerned that John McCain does not have the temperament to be the guy in the Oval Office under this kind of stress and everything that we face. He's got a reputation of being a hothead.
Well, John has a temper, there's no question about it, but on the other hand, you've got to give this man credit. He rose from the ashes and written off a year ago to the top and rose to the top of the mountain, and you've got to give him credit for that. Plus, look, for us conservatives, he has an 82% American Conservative Union rating. That's not 95%, but it's 82%. Where conservatives had a rough time with John, basically, we're on the McCain-Feingold bill, one of the worst bills in the history of politics. I could go into that if you want me to. Well, no, let me tell you, you can't find a worse bill. It's just about destroyed politics in this country, and certainly the parties in this country. But the energy situation, you know, if you can't support Anwar, it's not even a pinprick on the map. Yet 16 billion barrels of oil that would help our country become independent of Venezuela and so forth. You can go right down the list of things. But look, we're going to have to unify because we just simply cannot have either of the two Democrats. As nice of people as they may be in most people's eyes, we cannot have them. I mean, that'd be disastrous for this country.
Senator, thanks. We'll have you on again. Coming up, Mitt Romney may have the headlines today, but John McCain spoke at CPAC today with a daunting task of winning over a conservative base. Did he do it? I'll talk to some people that were actually there. And then Al-Qaeda